Welcome to Africa Speaks. On the 9th of May 2015, my name is Joy Doreen Bira, and of course today we are going to be speaking to Don Moen, who is a gospel singer. He's a producer, he's a pastor, he's a radio show host, he's a businessman, he's a producer, he's so many things. And he's going to be speaking to us about what he thinks about the gospel industry across the African continent, and also how he balances business and being a gospel singer, and also how he tries to keep himself in touch with God and not to lose it. You know, like we've seen a lot of artists across Africa who, you know, sing for about 2 years and then backslide, go secular, and then come back, and, you know, they're just never stable when it comes to their careers. So we'll be speaking to him about that. But first, we'll now take a look at one video that has gone viral. It's a video from Uganda. It is a traditional dance from Western Uganda, locally known as Echitaguro, and it's from the land of Kabale. If you have been to Uganda or that part of Uganda, you could probably associate with. But it has gone viral. Apparently, it has over 1 million views on YouTube. But just take a look at what it's being defined as. It's being defined as African techno. But take a look at the dance moves.
The one that excites is the jungle.
All right, there we go. And for those of you who don't know about it, it's just a traditional dance from Western Uganda. But apparently people think that that is the way a lot of Africans dance to techno music. So that could be partly the reason it has gone viral across YouTube, I should say. But well, you can also send us your videos in case you have any unique moves that you would like to showcase. Africa Speaks is a platform for you to do that. And well, now, like I mentioned, we are going to be very shortly, we are going to be speaking to Don Moen. Now, yesterday he had a concert at the Nairobi Baptist Church in Nairobi here, and the same is going to happen today and tomorrow. But I happened to have spoken to him yesterday, and he did highlight on a number of issues that is to do with being a Christian singer and a businessman, and also how he has kept strong in the gospel industry for these many years that not so many artists actually can afford to do. Well, let's just get to him and see what he says about this. And remember, you can send your responses using the hashtag Africa Speaks. You're watching Africa Speaks, and we are yet to speak to a gospel singer, producer, pastor, businessman. Yeah. And so many other things. Don Moen, he's an American singer, and of course we're yet to hear from him to tell us about why he is in Kenya. Welcome to Kenya.
Thank you. It is great to be here.
All right. You went a lot to Nigeria, Lagos to be precise. You never thought about us across the African continent, the rest of Africa?
No, I thought about Kenya all the time. It was always on my list of places to travel. We've been to Tanzania and Ethiopia, but every time we tried to come to Kenya, it's like the Lord closed the doors, and I don't know why. It was very frustrating, but God's timing is perfect, and finally we're here. But no, we never did forget about Kenya, and if I would have forgotten about it, all my Facebook friends did not, because no matter whenever I post anything on Don Moen, Praise and Worship Leader, if I say, I'm in Nigeria tonight, they said, all these Kenyans say, why not Kenya? If I'm in Canada, they say, I'm in Canada tonight. Why not Kenya? So how could I forget?
All right. So Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya,
okay.
Nigeria. So, well, at
Cameroon,
least.
Ghana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, South
Okay.
Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're going to Mauritius.
Yeah.
Is it also part of charity? Because while you're in Kenya, is also partly because of charity. But in Mauritius, what is it going to be like?
Well, Mauritius, we're actually we're attending a church conference there. I sang in Mauritius about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, and it was really a wonderful experience for us. It's a long way to go, but there's a church there that's doing a missions conference, and people are coming from all over the world, and Lenny and I are going to go there and be a part of the worship team, and then that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then on Sunday we'll do a concert. So yeah, it's and everywhere we go, we try to do something. We're always looking for opportunities for charity. I have a charity called Worship in Action, and we just been sending support to Nepal. We support an orphanage in Ghana, and I'm always looking for opportunities to give back.
Let's talk about the business side of you and how exactly that, goes about with you being a gospel singer. Because I think a lot of African gospel artists or singers, in this case, do have a hard time balancing the two.
Well, business and music, always, it's important to be a good businessman no matter what your occupation is, and music is no difference. But when it comes to worship, it's even a little more difficult, because people have a concept that worship is a different kind of a thing, and it is. God said He'll not share His glory with anyone, so we have to hold it very loosely. I do. But I understand there is a business aspect of it, but you can't focus all the time on the business. I was an executive at Integrity Music for 20 years, and that gave me an opportunity to have a good look at the business and see what it costs to run a record label, and what it costs to do business. And it was a worship label, so there was always this tug of war, like, hey, it's for worship, how can we put a price tag on that? But there are things that you have to pay attention to details. CDs cost money. When you go tour, it costs money. So there is a business side, and I look at it as just being a good steward. You have to be a good steward of what God has given you, or you won't be around to do that much ministry. Ministry costs some money, and you have to be mindful of that. But don't focus on it.
A lot of times we have gospel artists who get into the industry or get into the ministry in this case, and then later on backslide. You've been singing since 1986, probably the year I was born.
Oh, great.
And yeah, up until today, you're still singing. A lot of artists have backslidden in Africa. They've either gone back to secular music and stuff. So what keeps you going?
Well, thank you so much for bringing up the fact that my first record was recorded the year you were born. You could have gone all night without saying that. But now that you've said that, yeah. This is my calling. This is what I do. I don't there are some people that have made a huge career out of gospel music and have crossed over into a secular career, and I don't look down on them for that. That's really not what God has called me to do. But sometimes God puts people out there on a larger platform to be able to speak to a larger group of people. But the challenge is, when God gives you that promotion, are you going to still be the same person and not be corrupted by the business side of things? So you got to keep a pure heart. If God gives you bigger platforms to speak on, I think you ought to go for it. But yeah, it's not worth losing your faith over. Nothing is worth that. And if you have a successful career and you lose your family and you lose your faith, what kind of career is that? So I'm blessed that I have been married to the same wife for 42 years. We have 5 beautiful children, and that's a real high priority for me. It's a more important priority than my ministry or my concert touring. So I want to be successful at being a dad and a husband, and successful at ministry, but I don't want to put my ministry above my family and above God's calling on my life, so.
Right. I really wanted to ask this question, and I think it just skipped my mind. There are 2 countries across the African continent that have really been struggling with terrorism: Nigeria and Kenya, and maybe a little bit of Somalia. Well, Somalia is more of across 2 decades. But what is your message to people who are affected by acts of terror?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at New York, September 2001, 9/11. It hit us hard, and people just were stunned and didn't know what to do. It's a shock when something like that happens, but the fact is, in this world where there is evil, it can happen. But you don't stop living, and you don't stop coming together as a church. You don't let the fear of this rob you of living your life and letting your light shine. That's what the enemy wants. So I think, if anything, we need to come together as a church across denominations, across cultures, and come together as the church in unity and stand against this, and keep reaching out to the communities, keep changing our communities, keep preaching the gospel of love, more than judgment. Just come together as a church, and when tragedy strikes, whether it's a hurricane or a typhoon or a terrorist attack, that's when I've seen the church many times at its best. The church comes together, and I'm very sorry that people suffer through these things, but it can't divide us, and it can't stop us from being the church. If anything, it ought to mobilize us to come together and say, we're going to stand together, and we're going to see the victory won. Yeah, it should be a call to action.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate the time taken to speak to us. And well, that was Don Moen speaking to us about what he thinks about the gospel industry across the African continent, and also what his message is to people affected by terror. And well, thank you all for watching. This is Africa Speaks. Well, that was yesterday, and of course you did hear what he said. You have to be a good steward for you to be able to keep it strong in an industry like the gospel industry. And well, we'll take more of your reactions just after the break. Before we wind up the show, at least we should be able to review some of those. Well, we'll take a break now, and we'll be back looking at some of the stories making headlines across Africa. Welcome back. You're watching Africa Speaks here on KTN, and of course it was such an honor speaking to somebody whose music I've listened to literally since I was born. And my director is telling me, he doesn't really listen to his music, but I guess, there's always a way to get new people into the kingdom, if he really understands me. And well, now let's take a look at some of the stories making headlines across the African continent. Foreign ministers from the 4 East African states were this week in Burundi in an attempt to end the crisis that has led to the death of 13 people in the region's smallest nation. Burundi's constitutional court ruled on Monday that President Pierre Nkurunziza can run for a third term. The ruling came after the court's vice president, Silvere Nimpagaritse, fled Burundi, saying the court had been under pressure to endorse Nkurunziza's re-election bid. President Pierre Nkurunziza, who has rejected pressure from the U.S. to step down, says he will not run for a fourth term, but is not backing out of his third term, for which deadly protests by citizens continue in the capital, Bujumbura. The unrest is the worst to hit Burundi since a civil war ended in 2005. Nkurunziza, who has ruled Burundi since the end of the 12-year civil war, which killed about 300,000 people, is vying for president yet again. And 31-year-old Togolese end striker at UK Tottenham Hotspurs, Emmanuel Adebayor, has come out in the open to talk about the pressure he has been under by his family. Adebayor shared his feelings in an elaborate status update he described as dark moments, in which he mentioned conflicts and the burden his family has put him through. Adebayor, the most successful of his siblings, admitted to being under pressure to support his family financially, in some cases beyond what he could afford. In 17 appearances for the London club this season, Adebayor has scored only twice. Ivory Coast has banned skin lightening creams, which are widely used in West Africa, because of fears that they cause lasting damage to health, the health ministry said on Wednesday. The ban affects whitening creams and lotions containing mercury and its derivatives, cortisone, vitamin A, and more than 2% hydroquinone, a lightening agent that is used to develop photographs. Lightening products can also lead to hypertension and diabetes, according to a dermatologist at the University Hospital in Abidjan. Whitening creams or lightening creams have been popular for years among young African women who see them as a way to make themselves more attractive. The use of the creams is believed to be even more widespread in the largest economy, Nigeria. Although there are no official figures on how many women use such products across Africa, billboards advertising the potentially deadly creams can be seen in cities across the continent. While the craze is most widely spread among women, some men are said to use the creams too. The creams are also extremely popular in many countries in Asia, including India, Pakistan, and Japan, as well as the Middle East. All right, those are some of the stories making headlines. And of course, there are other stories in Zimbabwe, for instance. You know, when you're doing business in Zimbabwe, they always say the condition is that 51% of the company that you're opening in a certain part of Zimbabwe must be owned by a Zimbabwean citizen. But the third telecom network in Zimbabwe happened to defy those rules and were given 30 days to shut down and migrate their subscribers to other networks. But you see, when that happens, it means that the communications ministry or even the president has to intervene, and this is regardless of whether the law says something different. And this telecom company was given 30 days to shut down and move their subscribers to other networks. And, you know, there's a court case going on because there was an appeal to the High Court. But of course, the communications minister seems to defy even the court, and he's saying he's not backing down on his decision. Well, those and other stories making headlines across Africa. But we did speak to Don Moen, and he's so many things. He's a radio host, he's a producer, he's a pastor, he's a songwriter, he's a singer. He plays about 6 musical instruments: the violin, the guitar, the piano, and you know, the drums, and I don't know, one other instrument, according to the chat that I had with him. But, you know, I must say he's a very grounded personality. He's very down to earth, and the fact that the gospel is in him, or it's at least a little bit in him that keeps him grounded, which I thought maybe is something that most of our African gospel singers lack. They can barely play a musical instrument. Not all of them, but some of them cannot play a musical instrument. And I think that's the backbone of a singer, especially when you're trying to set yourself aside from the rest of the other artists across the African continent. Now, Don Moen released his first album in 1986 and has been releasing different other albums since then. And the latest album he released was in 2012, called A Hymn Book, and he released it after his Facebook likes clocked 1 million, and he was just celebrating the fact that at least there's a huge fan base of people that do listen to his music, and not just listen to it, but they associate it with the situations that they're going through. So he did release that album. But of course, the most famous song of Don Moen must be God Will Make a Way. And when I asked him how he actually gets to sing some of these songs that everybody can associate with, he says that we all go through different emotions. And the time he wrote God Will Make a Way was when his sister, I think, happened to be involved in a mortal accident, and they lost a child, and several others were injured in that accident, and that's how he came to write God Will Make a Way. And, you know, all these other songs that he has written are songs that resonate with people's situations. You might be going through, I don't know, marriage issues, or you might be going through loss of your loved ones, like, for instance, what happened just recently in Garissa with a lot of people losing their loved ones. So, yeah, he does sing songs according to how he is feeling sometimes, and sometimes he's inspired by the gospel. But now there's a song called I Will Sing, and it features Lenny LeBlanc. Lenny LeBlanc is the other gospel singer he is with here in Nairobi for the concerts that he's having today and tomorrow. He's sung songs like Above All, that is Lenny LeBlanc, and Rainbow. Those are the most famous songs I think we have in the country or across the African continent. But he's with him, and this song we're going to show you, or you're yet to watch, is one song that he did record in Virginia, and that was back in the day. So take a look at it. My name is Joy Doreen Bira. Let's keep the conversation going. There's Vlad Malik, who is saying he, Don Moen, defied the travel advisories. What would he say about Kenya's security? And well, the fact that he defied the travel advisories means that the security is good. Well, at least better than what it was before. And we're also seeing John Gikonyo, who is saying you have to be a good steward, and that is the message that Don Moen was passing on. But let's watch I Will Sing. My name is Joy Doreen Bira. Thank you all for watching, and God bless you.
You seem so far away, 1,000,000 miles or more it feels today. And though I haven't lost my faith, I must confess right now that it's hard for me to pray. But I don't know what to say, I don't know where to start. But as you give the grace, with all that's in my heart, I will sing, yes, I will pray. Even in my darkest hour, through the sorrow and the pain, I will sing, I will pray. My hands to honor you, because your word is true. I will sing. you, Lord, tonight. Hallelujah. We sing to you, Lord. Oh, we lift our voices and sing. We worship you, Lord. We sing to you, Lord. We sing, we sing, we sing. We sing, we sing. Oh, we worship you, Lord. Oh, thank you, Lord. I will sing. Oh, yes, I will sing. We love you, Lord.